Have you ever felt lost in the gaming world, doubting your knowledge of terms? Or have you wondered what it means when your friend says he's ganking? How many times have you encountered terms that sound like ancient spells? Learn what these terms mean and how they can transform your gaming experience. I remember when I first stepped into the MMORPG world, every term sounded like magic, and I was completely confused. Today, we will clarify the most important MMORPG terms so you can play like a true professional. Now, after years of gaming, I want to share these terms with you to help you feel more comfortable in this amazing fantasy. Let's start with player roles and classes, which are fundamental to understanding how to play effectively in any MMORPG. Here are some key terms you should know. 1. Player roles and classes. Noob, a new or inexperienced player who often does not understand game mechanics or strategies. This term can be used pejoratively to emphasize that the player is not yet able to perform their role properly or make good decisions in the game. DPS, damage per second, the damage dealt by a player or character per second, often measured in numbers. This allows for assessing how effectively a character can eliminate enemies. There are different types of DPS, such as burst DPS, when a player uses special strategies or skills to increase damage, and sustained DPS, when a player aims for greater efficiency with fewer resources. Additionally, DPS can sometimes refer to a damage dealer, which designates a player or character specifically focused on maximizing damage output. Tank, a role whose goal is to attract and absorb enemy attacks. Tanks often have a high amount of health points, HP, and defensive skills to protect other team members, especially those who deal high DPS. Healer, a character who specializes in restoring the health of other team members. Healers often have skills that allow them to heal during battles or provide temporary protection, enabling the team to survive challenging situations. Guildmaster, GM, the leader of a player-created group known as a guild. The GM is responsible for organizing the guild, communicating with members, and making decisions regarding the guild's activities, including planning quests and events. Main, the primary character that a player controls and develops most often. Players typically invest a lot of time and resources into their main, as it becomes their primary tool in the game world. Alt, alternate character. Another character that a player controls alongside their main character. Players often create alt characters to try out new classes, roles, or play styles. Off-tank, a secondary tank who assists the main tank in attracting enemy attacks and protecting other team members. The off-tank can help reduce the damage taken by the main tank. Support, a character that provides assistance to other team members, often through healing, beneficial area effects, or other strategic advantages. Support roles can vary widely, ranging from healers to skills that enhance the team's effectiveness. Carry, a higher level or highly experienced player who helps other team members by carrying them through challenging quests or battles. The carry is often the one dealing the most damage and helping the team win. Glass Cannon, a character with high offensive potential but weak defense. Glass cannons can deal significant damage but are vulnerable, requiring them to be cautious of enemy attacks. Hybrid, a character capable of performing multiple roles simultaneously. Hybrid characters can combine defensive and offensive skills or healing and DPS abilities, allowing them to be more versatile within a team composition. Now let's take a look at game modes, which define how players can compete against each other or fight against the environment. Here are some important terms to know. 2. Game modes. PvP, player versus player. A game mode where players compete against each other in an attempt to overcome one another. PvP can take place in various forms, such as in separate duels, team battles, or even large-scale mass fights. This mode often encourages competition and can provide players with the opportunity to showcase their skills and strategies. PvE, player versus environment. A game mode where players fight against the game environment, often facing artificial opponents such as monsters, NPCs, non-player characters, and various obstacles. The PvE mode typically involves completing quests, boss fights, and other activities aimed at exploring the game world and developing the player's character. GVG, Guild versus Guild. Battles between two or more guilds. GVG usually involves organized fights where guild members team up to compete against each other. This mode promotes cooperation and strategic thinking, as guild members must plan and execute their strategies together. Battleground, a specially designed arena or location for PvP battles. Battlegrounds often feature various tasks, battles, and strategic objectives that players must complete to win. These locations typically allow for a large number of players to participate, and the battles can be intense and competitive. Arena, a small-scale PvP combat venue where players can fight against each other. Arenas are usually smaller than battlegrounds and may have specific sets of rules that allow players to test their skills in fast-paced and intense battles. Open-world PvP. PvP battles that occur in an open game space, where players can encounter each other at any time. Open-world PvP gives players the freedom and opportunities to choose when and whom to fight, but it can also lead to inconvenience, as players may be attacked without warning. RVR, Realm versus Realm, large-scale combat between different factions or kingdoms. RVR typically involves massive battles with many players fighting for territory control, resources, or other objectives. These conflicts often require strategic thinking and good team coordination. Next, let's explore combat and battle tactics, which are essential for mastering encounters in MMORPGs. Understanding these terms will give you an edge in combat situations. Here are the key terms to know. 3. Combat and battle tactics. Mob, a general term describing combat creatures that players can fight in the game. Mobs can be of various types, such as monsters, NPCs, or other enemies, and they often provide players with experience points, XP, or resources when defeated. Add an additional enemy that unexpectedly joins the fight, often when players are already engaged with existing mobs. The introduction of adds can complicate battles, as they can increase the number of enemies and disrupt the team's strategy. Elites, particularly powerful mobs that are more difficult than regular enemies. Defeating elites often requires more strategy, cooperation, and better skills, so it is generally recommended to fight them in a team. Mob. Grinding, a strategy where players continuously fight a specific group of mobs to gather experience points or rare items. This process can be beneficial for quickly leveling up or obtaining desired resources. Resurrect. The process by which a player's character is brought back to life after death. Res typically occurs using a healer's skills or special effects that restore the character's life and return them to combat. Wipe, a term used to describe a situation where the entire team or group loses their lives during a fight or due to strategic errors. A wipe often means that players must restart the quest or battle, which can lead to frustration and require re-strategizing. Over-leveling, a situation where a player has a higher level than the current quests or enemies. This can make tasks easier, as the player can easily defeat weaker mobs and gain experience points with little effort. Stunlock, a situation where an enemy or character is continuously controlled and prevented from taking action. Stunlock is often achieved using effective stun or paralysis skills, allowing the player to keep the enemy helpless while dealing damage. World Boss, an exceptionally powerful enemy that is typically intended to be defeated by large groups of players across the game server. World bosses often appear infrequently and provide players with the chance to obtain unique resources or rewards, requiring collaboration and coordination to defeat. Aggro, a term describing the attention or aggression of enemies toward a player or their team. An aggro player is one who has attracted the enemy's attention, often due to the high damage they dealt or specific skills that draw the enemies in. Managing aggro is crucial in battles so that tanks can successfully protect other team members. Crit, critical hit. A hit that deals significantly more damage than normal. Critical hits often occur randomly, but some skills or weapons can increase the chance of landing a critical hit, allowing players to deal greater damage in a short amount of time. raid a large-scale team battle or quest, typically requiring good coordination among many players. Raids often involve fighting powerful bosses and require strategy, planning, and teamwork. Pulling a tactic where a player attracts one or several enemies from a larger group to fight them gradually. This helps avoid fighting the entire group, which may be too difficult, and allows teams to manage the situation. Tanking. Taunt. A tactic where a character deliberately draws enemy attacks to protect other team members. Taunt is an ability that forces an enemy to attack the tank, allowing other players to remain safe and deal damage. Tank swap, a tactic where two or more tanks alternate drawing attention to avoid excessive damage to one tank. This allows all tanks to survive longer and helps maintain stability in battle. CC, crowd control, abilities or skills that temporarily neutralize opponents. This can include various effects such as freezing, paralysis, or incapacitation, allowing teams to control the flow of battle and protect themselves from enemy attacks. AoE, area of effect, abilities or weapons that deal damage or have an effect in a specific area. AoE skills can affect all opponents within that area, making them useful in fights against large groups of mobs. Burst damage, a temporary and intense damage output. Burst damage is often achieved by using powerful skills or combinations, allowing players to quickly eliminate opponents or deal significant damage in a short amount of time. Dodge a character's ability to avoid attacks. In many games, players can use dodge as a tactical skill to evade enemy strikes, which can be critical, especially when opponents deal high damage. Parry, a successful block of an attack, where the player uses their skills to deflect an enemy's strike. Parry allows players to neutralize damage and sometimes even counterattack. Block the process, where a player uses a shield or other defensive measures to intercept enemy attacks. Block can reduce or completely negate incoming damage. Interruption, the process where a player halts enemy abilities. Interruption is an important strategy to prevent powerful enemy skills or spells that could harm the team. DOT, damage over time, an ability or spell that inflicts damage over a specified duration. DOT effects are beneficial because they allow for continuous damage, even when the character is not attacking directly. Skill rotation, the sequence of skill usage during combat. A proper skill rotation helps maximize a character's potential and optimize damage or other effects. Zerg, a mass-coordinated assault strategy involving many players aiming to quickly capture territory or defeat enemies. Zerg tactics typically rely on numbers rather than individual skill. Gank, a sudden and often unfair attack on an enemy character, usually executed by multiple players together to defeat a single opponent. Gank strategies are particularly effective in a PvP context, where a foe can be quickly overwhelmed before they can respond. Now, let's dive into resources and objects, which are vital for progressing and crafting in MMORPGs. Understanding these terms will enhance your gameplay and resource management. Here are the key terms to know. 4. Resources and objects. Loot items that players receive after a battle or the completion of a quest. Loot can include various items such as weapons, armor, resources, and other valuable objects. The loot system encourages players to fight and complete quests to obtain better items. Mana, a resource used to perform magical spells or special abilities. Mana typically regenerates over time or by using specific items, making its management important for the effectiveness of magical characters. Crafting, the process by which a player creates new items using collected resources or materials. Crafting allows players to tailor their playstyle and obtain unique items that may be more useful than those found during gameplay. Drop rate. The probability that a certain enemy or monster will drop a rare item or resource upon defeat. The drop rate often varies depending on the type of enemy, their level, and other factors, so players often seek to fight stronger foes to increase their chances of obtaining valuable loot. Guild bank, a shared treasure location for the guild, where members can deposit and withdraw items or resources. The guild bank encourages collaboration and helps members share resources and support each other. Farming, the continuous gathering of resources, items, or experience points in a specific area. Farming can be an effective strategy to obtain useful resources or achieve higher levels, and often involves searching for specific mobs or resources. Material. Farming, the process of gathering resources that involves collecting materials from nature, such as herbs, stones, or metals. Material farming is an essential part of the crafting process, as players need various materials to create items. Consumables, single-use items, such as potions, food, and other objects that provide temporary advantages, for example, restoring health or mana. Consumables are often used in battle to enhance players' chances of survival. Potion, an item that helps restore a player's health or mana. Potions are often used in critical situations to help survive battles or provide extra energy to cast powerful spells. Herbalism, the ability to gather herbs in the game. Herbalism is an important process that allows players to collect ingredients for crafting potions and other items. Mining, the ability to collect minerals such as metals and stones in the game. Mining enables players to obtain valuable materials that can be used in the crafting process or for trading. Skinning, the skill of collecting animal hides, allowing players to gather resources from slain animals. The results of skinning can be used in the crafting process, such as making armor or other items. Gathering, the general process of collecting various resources, such as trees, stones, and herbs. Gathering is an essential part of the game, enabling players to acquire resources necessary for crafting and other activities. Salvaging, the process by which players dismantle items to obtain resources like materials or components. Salvaging is beneficial as it allows players to recover materials from unused or inferior items. Next, let's discuss player status and effects, which play a crucial role in combat dynamics. Understanding these terms will enhance your ability to navigate battles and support your team effectively. Here are the key terms to know. 5. Player status and effects. Buff, a temporary enhancement of a character's abilities or weapons, typically applied through spells, drinks, or other effects. Buffs help players increase their effectiveness, such as boosting damage or defense stats, and can be applied to themselves or their teammates. Debuff, a negative effect that temporarily reduces a player's abilities or stats. Debuffs can include various impacts, such as decreased damage output, slowed movement, or other adverse effects, and are typically used to hinder an opponent's actions. Hot, heal over time, a healing ability that gradually restores a character's health over a specific period. HOT effects are often used to support team members in battle, allowing them to survive longer and fight more effectively. Overheal, healing that exceeds a character's maximum health. While overheal can be beneficial if a player takes significant damage, it is often not efficient, as excess healing typically does not transfer to other players. Cooldown, the time period during which an ability or skill cannot be reused after activation. Cooldown periods vary depending on the ability's power and nature, making strategic usage important for successful combat. Stun, a state in which a character temporarily loses the ability to move or act. Stun effects are often used to control enemies, giving team members the opportunity to attack or prepare for other actions. Silence, an ability that stops magical attacks or abilities. Silence effects can be particularly useful when fighting magical characters, as they cannot use their most powerful skills. Fear, a state in which a character uncontrollably runs away from an enemy. Fear effects are often used to disrupt an opponent's strategy and force them to lose control, making it a valuable tactical element. Root, an ability that temporarily prevents a character or enemy from moving, but they can still perform other actions, such as attacking or casting spells. Root effects help manage the situation and prevent the opponent from fleeing or hiding. Snare, an ability that slows down an enemy's movement speed. Snare effects are used to limit an enemy's mobility, allowing team members to more easily catch up or launch an attack. Next, we'll delve into game mechanics and terms, which are crucial for understanding the underlying systems of the game and how to optimize your strategies. Let's break down these key concepts. 6. Game mechanics and terms. Grinding a prolonged, repetitive gameplay action, usually aimed at gaining experience points, XP, or rare items. Players often engage in this process to level up their characters or obtain better gear, but it can become tedious as it requires significant time and effort. Min-maxing a gameplay tactic where a player maximizes a character's strengths and minimizes weaknesses. This involves strategic selection of skills and equipment to achieve maximum efficiency, such as choosing the attributes or abilities that best align with their playstyle. Respawn the process where characters or enemies reappear after being killed or destroyed. Respawn times may vary depending on the game mechanics, often giving players the opportunity to return to battle after a defeat. Quest a task that players must complete to earn rewards, experience points, or progress in the game. Quests can range from simple objectives to complex storylines and often involve interactions with NPCs, non-playable characters. XP, experience points, points that players earn from certain activities, such as battles, quests, or exploration, to level up their characters. The more XP a player accumulates, the faster they can level up and improve their character's skills. Cooldown reduction, CDR. The shortening of the cooldown time for abilities or skills, allowing them to be used more frequently. CDR is an important mechanic as it enables players to engage in battles more actively and use their powerful abilities more efficiently. HP, health points. A character's health points that indicate how much damage the character can absorb before being eliminated. HP is an important stat to monitor during battle, as it shows how long a player can survive. Nerf the process in which a character, ability, or weapon is reduced in effectiveness to balance the game. Nerfs are often applied when certain strategies or tools become too powerful and disrupt game balance. Patch a game update that may include bug fixes, new content, or balancing changes. Patches help maintain the stability of the game and ensure players have the best experience. Instance a separate game environment where adventures take place, often designed for a specific group of players. Instances allow players to face unique challenges without interference from other players. Level cap. The maximum achievable level in a game, after which players can no longer increase their character's level. Upon reaching the level cap, players often focus on other activities, such as improving their skills or equipment. Skill tree. A character's skill system where players invest points into various abilities to enhance their character's power and versatility. The skill tree structure allows players to specialize in certain areas and tailor their playstyle. Quest chain. A series of interrelated quests that typically form an overarching story or mission. Completing each quest often unlocks new ones, leading players deeper into the game world. Phasing a technology that allows different players to see different versions of the same world. Phasing helps create a dynamic and interactive game world, allowing players to experience different stories or events. Stacking the process where effects or abilities can accumulate on a character, increasing their impact. Stacking allows players to maximize their strategies and improve efficiency. In the expansive worlds of MMORPGs, how we navigate and traverse the landscape can significantly impact our gaming experience. Let's delve into some essential terms that enhance our characters' mobility and transportation throughout these immersive environments. 7. Character movement and transportation. Mount an animal or vehicle used to help the character move faster through the game world. Mounts allow players to increase their movement speed and reach distant locations, often serving an aesthetic purpose as they come in various forms and designs. Teleport the ability to instantly transport the character to another location in the game world. Teleportation is often used to quickly reach far-off places or return to a safe zone, especially after battles. Flight path. a method of traveling between locations where players can select a route and be transported to their desired destination using air transport, often referred to as a griffin or wind rider. Flight paths ease travel and reduce the need for players to travel on foot. Sprint, a temporary increase in the character's movement speed. The sprint ability allows players to escape enemies faster, reach objectives more quickly, or move faster across the game world. It usually has a cooldown period before it can be used again. Portal, a magical gateway between different locations. Portals can be used to quickly reach distant places or move between different game worlds, and they often require certain resources or skills to use. Fast travel, a system of quick movement between locations that allows players to rapidly access previously visited places without a long journey. Fast travel is typically accessible through maps or special transportation means, and it helps streamline gameplay, especially in large open worlds. In the dynamic world of MMORPGs, effective communication and teamwork are crucial for success. Here are some key terms that facilitate interaction among players and enhance collaborative gameplay. 8. Network communication and team actions. AFK, away from keyboard. This term indicates that a player is temporarily not participating in the game or is away from their computer. It is often used to inform team members that the player is inactive, so they should be cautious about potential threats or situations. BRB, be right back. This phrase means, I'll be back soon. It is commonly used when a player needs to step away from the game for a short period, but plans to return shortly. BRB helps maintain communication with the team and ensures others know the player will return. Bio break. This term refers to a player taking a short break for physiological needs, like going to the restroom. It's important to notify the team, especially in games that require constant participation. LFG, looking for group. This phrase is used by players seeking to find a group or team members for specific tasks. LFG is helpful when looking for like-minded players to complete goals, such as participating in battles or missions. LFM, looking for more. This phrase is used by players who are looking for additional members to join an already formed group. LFM is commonly used when a team needs to fill its ranks to successfully complete difficult tasks or battles. Guild is a player group or community formed to accomplish missions, fight, or otherwise collaborate. Guilds often provide social support, resources, and joint activities where members can share strategies, advice, and information. Guild chat. This is a chat channel reserved for guild members. Guild chat allows members to communicate, share news, plan activities, and discuss strategies without interference from other players. In the competitive landscape of MMORPGs, maintaining fairness and integrity is vital. However, some players engage in behaviors that disrupt this balance. Let's explore a few key terms related to sanctions and cheating in gaming. 9. Sanctions and cheating. Griefer. A player who deliberately disrupts other players by causing problems or discomfort without a clear goal. Griefers use various tactics like attacks, harassment, or other disruptive actions to negatively impact other players' experiences. They often play in PvP modes where they can directly harm other players. Leeching, a term describing a player who gains benefits or experience points without actively participating in combat or tasks. Leeching occurs when a player joins a group but does not share responsibilities and contributes nothing to the mission or battle, essentially riding on the coattails of others. Ninja looting. An act where a player illegitimately takes an item or reward that was meant to be shared among team members. Ninja looting often leads to conflicts between players, as it's considered unfair and unethical behavior that can cause disputes within the group. Rage quit, when a player leaves the game in response to a strong negative reaction, such as after a defeat or another unpleasant event. Rage quitting is often an emotional exit when a player becomes too frustrated and decides they can no longer play, usually without giving any prior notice to teammates. Kill stealing, an act where a player kills an enemy that another player was already fighting. Kill stealing is often considered unfair because it prevents the other player from earning the rewards or experience points for which they had been fighting. Exploiting, a term referring to the use of game bugs, glitches, to gain an advantage. Players who exploit bugs can achieve an unfair advantage by bypassing the intended game mechanics, which often leads to issues with game balance and may result in disciplinary actions against those players. In MMORPGs, managing items and weapons is essential for enhancing gameplay and improving character performance. Here are some important terms that players should understand regarding item management. 10. Item and weapon management. BOP, bind on pickup. An item that becomes personally owned by the player immediately upon pickup. This means that once the player picks up the item, it cannot be transferred to other players. These items are often designed to enhance the player's experience, but they prevent trading or sharing with other players, which can help avoid unfair trading. BOE, bind on equip. An item that becomes personally owned only when the player equips it. At this point, the player can first sell or transfer it to another player, but as soon as it is equipped, the item binds to their account. This system allows players to share items until they actually use them. BOE, bind on account. Items that can be used on any character within the player's account but cannot be transferred to other players. BOE items allow players to easily move items between their characters, helping them progress without the need to sell or trade them. Enchantment, the process by which an item is enhanced with magical properties. Typically, enchantments provide items with additional effects, such as increased damage, protection, or special abilities. Enchanting allows players to customize their items to better fit their playstyle. Transmog, the process of changing a character's appearance using other items. Transmog allows players to maintain a desired aesthetic style, regardless of the items they are actually using. This gives players more creativity and opportunities to stand out from other players. Upgrade, the process by which an item's level or quality is raised. Upgrading items can increase their stats, such as damage, defense, or other effects, making them more effective in the game. Upgrading is often an important part of gameplay, allowing players to enhance their inventory. Reforging, the process by which an item's stats are altered to improve or optimize them. Reforging allows players to customize their items to suit their playstyle, for example, by increasing a specific stat that the player lacks or decreasing another that is not beneficial. In the ever-evolving world of MMORPGs, updates and new features play a crucial role in enhancing the gaming experience. Let's explore some important terms that relate to game updates and expansions. 11. Special updates and features in the game. Hotfix. A quick patch, usually applied after a game update, aimed at fixing critical bugs or issues that may affect game stability or player experience. A hotfix is often smaller in scale than a full update and can be implemented without long downtime, allowing players to quickly return to the game. Expansion. A major game expansion that typically adds new content such as new areas, characters, quests, mechanics, or even new game modes. Expansions are often paid add-ons, giving players the opportunity to experience new stories and content, keeping the game fresh and engaging in the long term. Beta, a version of the game that is tested prior to its final release. Beta versions are meant for players who want to try the game in its early stages and provide feedback to the developers. This allows developers to identify and fix bugs and improve game mechanics before the official release. Early access, a version of the game that allows players to play before the official release. Early access often gives players the chance to provide feedback and influence game development while it is still being worked on. This system enables developers to gather information about player experiences and make necessary adjustments before the final release. The economy and trade systems in MMORPGs are vital for player interactions and resource management. Let's explore some key terms that define how players engage in the in-game economy. 12. Economy and trade. Gold farmer. A player or a group of automated programs, bots, that actively collects in-game currency, usually gold, to sell it for real money later. Gold farming can be considered an unethical aspect of gaming, as it often violates game rules and can negatively impact the game's economy. WTB, want to buy. A phrase used by players to inform others that they are looking for a specific item and want to purchase it. This is often used in trading channels to find goods that the player needs. WTS, want to sell. A phrase that players use to announce that they have a specific item they want to sell to other players. This helps other players know about potential buying opportunities. Auction house, a game marketplace or market where players can trade items by putting them up for auction. Players can set prices and time limits, and others can bid or purchase items at the specified price. Bartering, a trading system that does not involve the use of currency. Instead, players exchange items or services based on a mutual agreement on value. Vendor trash, items that have no value in the game except for selling to vendors. Such items are often found on the battlefield but serve no other purpose, so players typically sell them for a minimal amount of gold. In MMORPGs, understanding experience and leveling mechanics is essential for progressing through the game. Let's explore key terms that define how players gain experience and improve their characters. 13. Experience and levels. XP. Grind, a long and monotonous process where players diligently accumulate experience points, XP, from various activities, such as battling enemies or completing quests. This is often necessary to reach higher levels or gain new skills. Endgame, the stage of the game that begins after a player reaches the maximum level or completes the main story. Endgame typically involves challenging quests, raids, PvP battles, and other challenges designed for high-level players. XP debt, a mechanic present in some MMORPGs where players lose a portion of their experience points upon dying. To repay this debt, they must continue to play and accumulate experience until they restore the lost XP. Cooldown. The period of time during which a certain ability or skill cannot be used again after it has been activated. Cooldown is used in games to balance the use of abilities and strategy. Stacking, the process by which different effects or abilities can be combined on a single character, increasing their overall impact. For example, if two players use similar buffs, their effects may be greater if they are properly coordinated. Meta, the optimal ways to play, strategies, and compositions that are considered the best at any given time. The meta can change based on game updates, balancing, and player discoveries. Mount farming. The process by which players attempt to acquire rare mounts in the game, usually by repeatedly completing certain tasks or defeating specific enemies that may drop them. Boosting, the process where an experienced player provides assistance to other players so they can progress more quickly in the game. This may involve helping in battles, quests, or other activities so newcomers can gain experience faster. Next, in MMORPGs, the sense of community and collaboration among players is essential for enhancing the gaming experience. Here are two key terms that define how players interact and work together within the game. 14. Community and collaboration. Cross-realm. This refers to player collaboration or combat between different servers within the same game environment. This mechanic allows players to interact and participate in shared activities, such as PvP battles or group quests, regardless of which server they are playing on. It increases the size of the game community and provides more opportunities for interaction with other players. Wiki. This is a community-created information database where players can find information about various aspects of the game, such as mechanics, characters, quests, and more. Wikis are often very detailed and continuously updated as players share knowledge, strategies, and tips. Such wikis are especially popular in MMORPGs, where players want to share their experiences and help others better understand the game. And finally, let's take a look at game terms. In the world of MMORPGs, understanding various terms can significantly enhance your gaming experience. Here are some important terms that players often encounter. Point 15. Other terms. F2. P. Free-to-play. A game model that allows players to play for free but may include microtransactions or additional paid content, enabling players to purchase cosmetic items, upgrades, or other advantages. These games often provide a free-to-play option but offer additional opportunities for a fee. Pay-to-win. P2W, a game or system model where players can purchase advantages, such as powerful items or special abilities, giving them an unfair advantage over players who play for free. This model is often criticized for potentially distorting game balance and reducing the game's appeal. Roll a dice rolling system used to determine who will receive a rare item after a battle. Players often choose a roll type, for example 100-1000, and each player rolls the dice to get a result that determines who wins the loot. Hit cap, the maximum hit rate or accuracy a player can achieve. It relates to the player's ability to ensure that their attacks hit enemies, increasing the likelihood of critical hits or damage. Once the hit cap is reached, additional accuracy is no longer beneficial. Out of mana. A state in which a player runs out of magical energy, mana, needed to cast spells or use special abilities. This can lead to strategic problems during battles, especially for mages who rely on mana for their abilities. Loot. Table. A list of items or rewards that can be obtained from a specific enemy or quest. This list determines what can be dropped and may include rare items, resources, or other valuable objects. Farm bot. An automated program or robot used to gather resources or experience points in a game. These tools are often considered unfair and can disrupt game balance and community members. Res timer. The time a player must wait before they can be resurrected after dying. This time may vary depending on game mechanics and can impact strategies during battles. Today, as you've learned these essential MMORPG terms, you are ready to step into the gaming world with confidence. Remember, each game has its own unique language, so never stop learning. Thank you for watching. Which terms did you already know, and which were new to you? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't miss the chance to follow us for more gaming tips and tricks. Now that you're equipped with knowledge about these terms, feel free to play and engage with other players. Get ready for new experiences, challenges, and, of course, wonderful moments. It has been a fantastic journey to share these terms with you that have helped me understand the MMORPG world. Enjoy every moment, and see you next time.